Hey everyone, and welcome back to Grounds Family Farm. For those of y'all who are new with us, my name's Kevin, this is my wife Kimberly, and this is Abby and Izzy, and we live on a farm in central Arkansas. For those of you who've been with us for a while, know that several months ago we'd started a project back here of cleaning this up. We didn't let you know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be a huge surprise. We had some issues with some equipment, and now you can see there's even more problems than what we had before. But we're fixing to try to get that fixed. We think we have it figured out. We've got some footage of what we think the solution is that we're going to show you here in a minute. But before we get to that, we're going to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video. As y'all know, we've survived storm season, going into winter, and both of those present their own problems. And one of those is power outages, which brings us to today's sponsor, Jackery. Jackery sent us their HomePower 3600 Plus Essential Home Backup System. Really great product. It's designed for homes with 3 to 6 people to run all your essential stuff during an outage. 3600 watts and 3584 kilowatt hours of capacity. It's going to be able to run a lot of stuff for a long time. It's got 2 carrying handles here if you need to carry it. It's got wheels on the back, which we'll show you later, and also this nice handle to pull it with. It goes super tall, extended. The other great thing is on the front, it features an LCD screen that's going to have all the details on it. So this shows what your input is. It's 0 watts because it's not plugged in or charging right now. Output is also 0 watts because we're not using it right now, and it's 73% charged. The other great thing is it has a 30 amp RV plug for the front of it. It's got 4 120 volt plugs for like AC current, like plugging in anything you normally would. It also has 2 USB-C ports, which have 100 watt max capacity, and then also 2 USB-A, which have an 18 watt max capacity. It's got an expansion slot here where if you wanted to connect another unit to it, you could. It also has expansion ports for to attach extra battery cells. It's got resets for the AC outlets, and it also has a DC input, which is for your solar panels, and it also has an AC input for plugging it to the wall and charging. So this is our freezer that we store a lot of our meats in. These are 2 pigs we had processed. We had to have it USDA inspected because we sell it, and so that cost a lot more. So there are several hundreds, if not a couple of $1,000s worth of meat in this one freezer. And whenever it's full, it's even more than that. So to start this, first you're going to hit the power on, and then you're going to hit the button for the AC power, which turns on these ports here and this one. So we're going to plug it in. It still shows, okay, so now it's showing that how much the output is. We're up to 396 watts. We've also got a fridge here. We're going to go ahead and plug it in too and see what that puts on it. Now we're pulling just under 500 watts, and so with that, it shows it'll last 5 hours. On a full charge, it's going to last longer. We can actually run 9 devices at once if we needed to, so we could plug all those in and it'd draw out more. So there's 4 ways to charge this. There's AC, DC, AC and DC, and it also talks about using AC using a generator. Using AC current, it will show you what the input is of what it's charging, and it only takes 2.5 hours to charge this thing to 100%. They use next-gen heat-resistant ceramic battery cells, which gives you over 6,000 charging cycles and over 10 years of durability. Even with daily use, the batteries will still retain 70% capacity after 10 years, so no matter if you use this all the time, it's still going to work years to come. It's ultra portable. It's one of the lightest and smallest units that deliver this much power. And we all have family or know somebody who has major medical issues, who have medical equipment that can't lose power. And this also works as a UPS, which is an uninterruptible power supply, which means that it will switch over. If they're plugged into this and it's plugged into the wall, it'll switch over within less than 10 milliseconds, which means they're never actually going to lose power to that. Check how easy this thing rolls. It's about the size of a carry-on and rolls just as good. So these just lay out. I'm going to plug it in, and the input's going up. So far we're at 59 watts, 60. It's steadily going up with the sun going down like this. Stand this up and get more sun. 2 other great things about this unit is not only can you save up to 65% off during Amazon's Prime Big Deal Days, October 7th and 8th, but it also qualifies for up to 30% federal battery tax credit. So more than one ways to save with this thing, and it's a great unit that you will love. We appreciate Jackery for allowing us this opportunity to try out their unit. So check out the link in the description if you want to find out more about this or to purchase one for yourself. So many of y'all that's been around with us for a while know we've had some major equipment trouble this year, and one of those pieces of equipment was our bush hog. Had lots of trouble with it, tore up, a lot of the welds broken. It was going to be very expensive to fix, but we found another solution, and this is what it is. We have got our hands on a bad boy bush hog. There's a local equipment auction that happens either once a year or twice a year here close, and I saw this online. We weren't able to actually make it to it because we were getting ready to leave for Pedals from the Past, but I set up where I could bid online, and luckily the pictures are what it really looked like, because I bought it sight unseen except for some pictures. And check it out. This thing looks basically brand new. Still has the stickers on it. The paint's not even wore off like where you do the connections at up here. So it's basically brand new. We looked underneath. The blades look good. Got it for a steal of a deal. This bush hog did not cost much more than what it was going to cost to fix mine. And even with us fixing mine, it was still going to be a wore out piece of equipment. And like I said, this hardly has any use on it. So we're fixing to get this unloaded, hooked up to the tractor, and hopefully there's nothing wrong with it that we couldn't see. But like I said, the fact that it looks basically brand new, I think we're going to be okay with this one.
Yeah, this is super exciting. Whenever he told me that we won the auction, I was so ecstatic, because that means we don't have to keep waiting to be able to have a bush hog.
Yeah, because pretty much the other ones I'd looked at, like on Facebook and stuff like that, if you find a 6-foot one, they were either super expensive or they were just wore out junk. So I was afraid that I was going to be trying to fix mine to make it work, and then I'd put all that money in it and it would just tear up again. Not to say we won't go ahead and try to fix it, but we may try to find a few little shortcuts to make it a little bit cheaper, since we now have this one, as long as it actually works. We're fixing to get it unloaded, hooked up, and turn it on and see what it sounds like.
Yep, and you guys get to see it with us, because this is our first time.
Yeah, it's literally still on the trailer where my dad picked it up for me, because like I said, we were leaving to go out to Pedals, and it just so happened this auction was the day before we were leaving, and there was no other time, so we jumped on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. There we go. Perfect.
as you can see, it cuts. You can see the difference from this right here to that. Super quiet compared to my old one, because it was really loud, which part of it's because it was about to fall apart, I think. Because I don't remember what it was like when it was new, but that is a lot quieter. And it also has the mulching plate on the back, so instead of just kicking everything out the rear, it keeps chopping it and just throws it back down exactly where it was. And so that's why this looks a little different than when I normally bush hog and it just kicks it out the back. But that's good for mulching up the grass and dropping it. But if you hit a rock or something, there's not really anywhere for it to go. But I think you can take that plate off the back and have a discharge, but we'll just have to see how it goes and try not to hit any rocks. But we do have some ground that's not been covered before, and there may be some rocks on it. But that's why I'm thinking maybe we fix the other one, and instead of like buying a new plate and everything, like just try to weld it and everything. It might look pretty, but like for the real rough ground, we can use that and then eventually get rocks and stuff moved, picked up, and then hopefully we can just mow with that or bush hog with that and keep it all nice and pretty around here. But this will work great to get this knocked down where we can start building the fence over here.
Yes, super excited. And he was talking about it being quiet. I couldn't even tell that it was even working at first. I had to zoom in on the camera to actually be able to tell that it was working, because
had I not physically seen the blades underneath it, I wouldn't have thought there was blades on it the way that was so quiet.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it could be because it's all fully enclosed too. And like I said, that just feels like it's heavier metal. And also it feels like lifting on the tractor, it feels like it's heavier on the tractor too.
Yeah, beautiful though. Super excited.
So when we were working on this before, we were using the tiller to break it up, and that's when the tiller broke. Well, now the mess has grown up because in the process, our bush hog also broke. So that's what we're fixing to do. We've got a new bush hog now. We're going to raise it up a little higher because there are some rocks out here, and get this knocked down, and hopefully then we can get it worked up, leveled out, and start to show you what it's going to become, because this is going to be super exciting, and there's going to be a lot of footage of stuff going on in this area.
Yeah, we've got really big plans for it, and we hadn't forgotten about them. We just had other priorities for a while because of the garden and, life. So, just the way things work.
Yep, I'm going to go grab the tractor and we'll get started.
All right, so this looks a lot better. You can definitely tell we've got some unlevel spots, and definitely a lot of rocks over here, because if you remember, for those of you who've been watching us for a while, at one point this was a chicken enclosure, and then we had the goats eat it down for a while, which they did, and we had pigs back here. So it's been a multitude of animal homes for a while. Then we took the enclosure down, and we, like I said, we're going to get started on this project, but it just didn't pan out at the time with the tiller break-in and stuff. But if you were watching him bush hog, you could see just how unlevel this spot is. So I think this is going to require a little bit heavier equipment than the tiller to get it kind of leveled up and see what we need to do with it. So we're going to see what we can do to get that.
Okay, the other day this thing was full of wasp nests and wouldn't start. I lifted this up and there's another one underneath here that I didn't see, so...
Oh. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, he's not happy. This didn't foam up very good like it's supposed to. It's supposed to foam up and encase their nest.
Ugh.
But sometimes when you first start a new can, it doesn't, because you can't get it picked up enough to
Yeah.
foam. But I wish I could just make this flip up.
Oh. God, you hadn't gotten popped. This wasp stings hurt.
Just get them all. I think that's it.
Yeah, the others I saw flew off.
So far, so good.
Hopefully when you start rolling, it's not gonna...
Oh, that's probably why I'm going to leave this can up here.
Yeah.
That's probably when they would hit me.
Yeah, I hope not. 'Cause...
And then I would just go and let the dozer go.
Hey,
Okay.
Tabby.
We've not used this dozer in a while, so the other day it just would not start. It needs a little bit of work, but it should work good enough for what we're trying to do for a short project.
Yeah.
Like everything else on this farm that needs worked on. I liked it back when everything was new.
Yeah. Price of equipment these days, you use what you got.
Oh, I think something's open. Oh, down there.
Oof.
Did it fly off?
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got something, because you had another one fly out the side, so. Then you got your spectators over here.
Oh, the cow?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They've been pushy since I got in here.
Yeah. I'm not going to pull that panel off. Well, it may not be a panel down below. Okay. So, wish us luck. Hopefully this thing will just fire up in a minute.
Oh, I hope so. It'd be nice if we didn't have to do a lot with it to make it work.
We'll give it a couple minutes and then jump it.
Yep. Ha-ha! Yay!
Like I figured they'll be coming from everywhere.
Yeah. Woohoo! That's exciting. So as you can see, the heavy equipment that we needed for this project is the bulldozer. I don't think any of you guys have actually seen it in use, because it's been parked for quite a while. He's used it for intermittent projects, but I mean, we haven't really recorded any of that, so now you finally get to see it in use. We've had it for quite a while. Bought it. It was a good deal. It was used like most things that we get. So glad that it started, and hopefully this will help us get it smoothed out and figure out what this area needs. So before he gets started, Kevin wanted me to remind y'all that he is not a professional and that this dozer does have a few issues to it, so For any of you who might be a professional, please be kind, no judgment, because he's only used this some. Uh-oh. I'm sure there's a adjustment period too for getting back used to it. 'Cause he did kind of have the hang of it before, but it takes, as with any piece of equipment, you got to get back used to using it. And then one that before he owned one, he had never driven. It's definitely going to come in handy for all these projects out here, though.
So it's smoothed up better than what it was, but let's be honest, who else could tell that I don't have a clue what I'm doing? I've never been a dozer operator. I bought this one last year, but it had some issues right away, and I used it a little bit just playing around out in the field, but actually trying to do something with it, I probably don't have 20 hours in the seat on a dozer, so I feel like I did okay. The main thing was, back where we had pigs back here, they had wallered it out, and so I wanted to get dirt pushed back there, which is why I was pushing so much to begin with. This is at a gradual slope, so I think we're still probably going to have a load of dirt or something brought in just to get it where it's smoothed up, or we might be able to just gradually like cut the slope down where it's not as much, so that it's still sloped but not quite as much of a slope. And we got to be careful going too much farther that way because we've got fill lines in the ground there. But another thing with this is, with all the tall grass and stuff we had that I just bush hogged, it clumps up whenever you're trying to push it. So if we had a place to put it and we had more dirt just to put in here, the easiest thing would have been just to peel the top layer off and get rid of it. But we're having to work it in. So as this grass dries out and compost over the next week or so, it should get a little bit easier to work with going around. If I have to, I'll bring a plow it up, and then smooth it out that way. And then we'll decide if we're going to need a load of dirt brought in, or if we can just make it work with what we have. Like I said, you can still tell that there's a slope from here to here, and there's a few dips and stuff, but I didn't want to just keep messing around with all that tall grass and make it worse. And so at least this way, it's peeled back, the grass has time to die, and whenever we have time to work on this again, it should be a little bit easier to work with. Like I said, worst case, I'll plow it up if we have to do that. But it's well on its way. Like I said, I can't wait until we actually start putting it together where you see what it is, because I don't think any of y'all will be able to guess. I think once before, whenever we tried to do it, we had y'all guess. Nobody was anywhere near right. So it's just going to be one of those things you got to wait and see. But I've got to get ready for work. So this is where we're going to stop it for today. Like I said, hopefully the next time I work with it, the weeds will be dried up and stuff, and it'll be a lot easier to do. But we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye.